Very well.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Bendy, and this is Disney Heroes.
Oh, Your Majesty!
Yes, my dear.
Look, there he is now!
Huh? What? Who?
The Cheshire Cat!
Cat!
So, if you couldn't guess by that intro, we're going to be talking about Cheshire today. So, Cheshire Cat. Probably one of the top 5 best heroes in the game, if not maybe even number 1. I don't know. He's really good though. He does absolutely ridiculous amounts of damage. And honestly, I don't even think he should be a control hero. I don't really understand why. I mean, I guess he saps, but like he does so much damage that like I feel like he should just be a damage roll hero. Today we're going to talk about what Cheshire does, how to counter him, what mods you should give him, some teammates that you should put with him, things like that. If you like what I'm doing with this channel, if you like this series, definitely give me a like, subscribe, comment. You know the deal. Let me know who you want to see next in the hero overview series. I got a few heroes in mind, but I'm just going to keep these rolling. I'm going to try and do like maybe one of these a week or so, but we'll see. So anyways, let's just start.
One moment, please. Ooh.
Start. So before I start with the skills, I wanted to actually look at his stats just to show you really quick that 1, Cheshire has pretty high fantastic crit. So he's going to be critting a lot with his fantastic moves, which is every move pretty much except for his basic attack. And also I wanted to point out that Cheshire probably has the highest evasion in the entire game.
You may have noticed that I'm not all there myself.
He's pretty much constantly going to be dodging everything. That could be anything from disables to just plain attacks. Because with 308 evasion, not invasion, against my server, which is 230 right now, he's basically dodging all attacks 78% of the time. And it's probably going to be a little bit different for all the servers, depending on what your max level is. But I just wanted to point out that his evasion is really high. Okay, so as usual, let's start by going through his skills and see what he does. His white skill is headstand.
Can you stand on your head?
Cheshire Cat teleports into the middle of enemies and rolls around on his head, dealing a lot of damage and sapping nearby enemies for 15 seconds. This one right here is a pretty solid white skill. It does a whole bunch of damage. Not quite as much as his green skill, spoiler alert, but the big thing is that it goes into the middle of enemies, so this is a great way to deal with back row enemies. So if you are struggling with like supports or control heroes that stand in the back or something like that, Cheshire could be a very good answer to that. So, green skill, head toss. Cheshire Cat throws his head at the enemy with the least HP, dealing a metric shit ton of damage and stunning them for 10 seconds. Okay, so I know that my Cheshire is like totally maxed out. He's like R19 and level 230. But like, look at this. It does 22 million damage. The fuck? I don't know what Cheshire's head is made of, but when he throws that thing, it might as well just be an atomic bomb hitting the enemy, because I think this thing has like the highest damage of any attack in the entire game. Don't quote me on that. But so maybe if we slow down this clip here, you can see it in action. Yep, Cheshire's head is a nuke, confirmed. Alright, blue skill. Cheshire Cat laughs, healing himself for a lot of HP and gains 300 energy. Pretty basic, he heals himself, he just allows himself to use his white skill a little bit more. Nothing too crazy there. His purple skill is not all there. Cheshire Cat will prefer to target invisible enemies with his basic attacks and with head toss. His basic attacks deal a lot of bonus damage to invisible enemies, and head toss stuns invisible enemies for 12 seconds longer. So this is a super good counter to invisible teams such as Randall, Darkwing Duck, Scar, etc. That's pretty much it. Yeah, so his red skill. Every 4 seconds, when an enemy damages the Cheshire Cat, they are sapped for 7 seconds. So this is just an additional sap on top of the sap that he already does with his white skill. And then when Cheshire Cat uses his blue skill, his attack speed is increased by 33% for 15 seconds. So his red skill is not ridiculously crazy, but he does have an additional sap and he increases his attack speed, which is pretty decent. So that's his skills. Basically the main 2 things that make Cheshire so ridiculous is his white skill and his green skill, and the fact that he's really good against invisible enemies, but he's really good against everybody in general. Alright, let's show what his friend discs are. So first one is the Mad Hatter one. It increases his skill power and his basic damage, and also when an enemy goes invisible, the remaining cooldown of head toss is reduced to 0. So with this disc, disc, anytime an enemy goes invisible, Cheshire will just immediately throw his nuclear bomb head at them. And pretty much kills them, most likely. I don't know. This is just another great counter to invisible, like a Randall or a Darkwing Duck or something like that that goes invisible. The other one is the Hangandori disc, which also gives him skill power, and it gives armor to blue team allies. So if he has blue team, they're going to be getting some armor. That's kind of cool, I guess. This one is sapped enemies damaged by the Cheshire Cat are stunned for 8 seconds. So in addition to sapping them, he's just going to be getting another stun. I kind of switch between these two discs depending on the situation. For all the other hero overviews I've done so far, I kind of just pick one disc, but this is definitely one hero that I switch between the two discs a lot. Like if I'm facing a Darkwing Duck, I'll often just switch to this disc for that one fight and then just switch back. But this is the one I kind of use more in general. I feel like it's a little bit more general use, whereas this one is a little bit more situational. So we've gone through his skills and his discs. Let's see what mods we should be giving him. I haven't quite completed mine yet, even though he's really strong, but what I did is I've given him 2 green skill mods and a purple skill mod. What that's going to do is basically just make it so his head toss does way more damage with the green skill one, and the purple one just makes it so that he deals more and more damage to invisible enemies. Thinking about it, I think going all in with the green skill might be the play. So what I might eventually do is drop this purple skill one and maybe give it something else. But for this square mod here, I'm probably going to be giving him a fantastic crit mod, but I don't have any fantastic crit thingies right now because for some reason they're just so stingy with them and they just never give them out really. So as soon as I have 5 more of these, I'm going to be giving him the fantastic crit. Some other things you can do, you can give him a reality boost just to give him some more defense. He has more reality in general, like a lot more reality, so giving him a reality boost. You could give him an armor boost to kind of even out his defenses a little bit, but I kind of don't really recommend it a ton, but it's totally an option. You could also do the speed boost on this one, just to make him attack a little bit faster, but I'm just opting not to. The only thing I don't really recommend giving him is giving him a normal crit. Normal crit is going to be pretty much useless on him because he doesn't have any normal attacks. He does have some normal crit, but that's only going to be for his basic attack, so whatever. So fantastic crit is definitely way better than normal crit on Cheshire. Like I said, armor is I mean, you could use it, but reality I think is a lot better for him. And a shield mod you could do, but I think it's just kind of like So you can copy me if you want, or don't. I don't care. Do whatever you want, but that's just what I did. Okay, we've talked about his skills, we've talked about his mods. Who does Cheshire Cat pair well with as teammates?
You haven't. You haven't. Oh, but you must.
Cheshire Cat is going to do great with stuns and disables like Silence or Freeze, or with Magicka, who uses her wand zap thingy to grab heroes. They're just going to prevent the enemy from targeting Cheshire and giving him more of an opening in order to get his head toss off. If you're going against invisible enemies, Jumba could be a pretty decent teammate with Cheshire because of the precision that he gives himself. Or actually, does Cheshire stand behind Jumba? Let me check really quick. Okay, so because Cheshire stands behind Jumba, he's going to be getting the precision from Jumba, which basically just means that he's going to be targeting invisible enemies more, and their attacks can't be dodged or evaded. So it's just kind of another thing to take advantage of what Cheshire is already good at. Mr. Incredible also has Precise, which does the same thing, but Mr. Incredible's kind of weak, so he's a little bit worse of an option. Rapunzel, Tron, Nick, Felix, anybody that boosts skill power is going to do great with Cheshire. Just to make it so that Cheshire does even more ridiculous amounts of damage, because you can see all of Cheshire's moves work with skill power. So anybody that boosts skill power is going to do great with Cheshire. Eeyore, Captain Hook, Flynn Rider, or anybody else that has sap is also going to pair pretty well with Cheshire if you feel like taking advantage of just having a ridiculous sap team. Any hero that reduces reality, so that's going to be Elastigirl, Lock, Shock, and Barrel, Evil Queen, Mr. Big. I think there's a few others, but that's the only 4 that I could really find. But they'll do great with Cheshire because, you know, it's just going to make Cheshire do even more damage. Scare will do pretty well with Cheshire so that Cheshire crits all the time. Angel also reduces reality with her Stitch Disc, so that could be a pretty good pairing. And just Angel in general, just because of the silence and charm that she's going to do, so she's just going to be disabling the hell out of the enemy team and just allowing Cheshire to do her thing, or do his thing a little bit more. I don't know why I always think Cheshire is a girl. I just do. I keep doing it over and over, no matter how many times I have to correct myself. So those are some teammates that are good with Cheshire, so let's move on to who Cheshire is good against. As I've already said like 3 times in this video, Cheshire is really good against invisible enemies. Randall is the main one. I think originally Cheshire was created to be a Randall counter, because at the time, Randall was really ridiculous in this game and he was just basically unkillable. So I think Cheshire came out initially as a Randall counter, but there's a few other invisible heroes like Darkwing Duck, Scar, and I think there's a few others. Kermit is also able to take advantage of the enemy team's invisibleness by making his whole team invisible. So Cheshire could be really good if you're just facing a really annoying little invisible team. But anyways, Cheshire is really good against the backline, as I kind of hinted to before, because of his white skill. He's going to do a whole lot of damage to, say, like backline supports like Fear, Megara, Joy. Maybe not Joy because she has a huge reality boost, but Donnie, anybody like that stands in the back. Cheshire's just gonna go in the middle of everybody, probably kill everybody at once. I'm sure you've seen it many times if you've faced a Cheshire before. So, good with backline, or good against backline I should say, especially if they have low HP. And because Cheshire has Sap, he's also good and be good against anybody that depends a lot on their white skill in order to be good. So that would be, say, Mulan, Magicka, Pleakley kind of does, Tron kind of does, Dash a little bit. Anybody like that depends really heavily on their white skill because of the sap. So that's kind of the main things that Cheshire is good against. But as I was saying, he's probably one of the best heroes in the game. So he's always just going to be dealing so much damage for you. So now we'll move on to the final section. Who counters Cheshire? How do you beat him? What do you do against all of that damage?
Oh, by the way, if you'd really like to know. Oh, you can't help that.
Well, I got a few options for you. So Cheshire is pretty tough to counter, I will admit, mainly because of his ridiculous evasion stat, which I think might be the highest in the entire game. Just looking through my other heroes here really quick, I don't see anybody that really comes close. So that makes countering Cheshire kind of difficult. And also just the fact that he does so much freaking damage. If you're not ready for it, he'll definitely just take everybody out in one hit. So the first thing I wanted to point out is going to be Ian. Now I was testing this out the other day because I just found out about this on the forums. So shout out to you guys in the forums. I kind of stole this from you. But Ian, when there's somebody that stands behind him that has low HP, is going to be able to just take out Cheshire immediately with the reflect. Cheshire goes to use his head toss. It targets the hero with the lowest HP. Head toss goes off. It hits the back row person that has the reflect from Ian, and then it just bounces back at Cheshire and it kills him. I tried testing this out a little bit the other day and it didn't really seem as consistent as I was hoping it would be, but it definitely did work a few times. I think it was kind of iffy just because it totally depends on how long it takes for Cheshire to use the head toss initially. I think he might use it pretty early on in the fight for the most part, but I don't know, it seemed kind of inconsistent when I was testing it out, so I don't know, it's a decent option, it's there. Since Cheshire is a little bit slow to get started in the beginning of the fight, heroes that just deal really fast damage right off the bat are going to do pretty well against Cheshire, so that could be, say, Dash, Mulan, Duke, people like that just deal a lot of damage right away just to take out Cheshire before he even has a chance to get off his ridiculous damage from white and green skill. Silence, I feel like I say this every single video, but silence is a pretty good option because it's just going to prevent him from using his skills. So that could be Disgust, Angel, Tia, etc. just to stop him from doing any of his stuff. As I kind of hinted to before, the fact that Cheshire has really low armor means that anybody that does normal damage is going to do pretty good against Cheshire, so pretty much the same as I just said. Dash, Mulan, Duke, there's plenty of others. Study would be pretty good, but the fact that he has so much lower armor than he does reality means that you can totally take advantage of it just by putting normal damage heroes in against Cheshire, and you might be a little bit better off at least. Timon and Fear are also pretty decent options for dealing with Cheshire, just because Cheshire has pretty high fantastic crit, so he's going to be critting a lot. Timon with Hakuna Matata makes it so you are immune to all crits, and then Fear also just reduces crit damage, so you're just going to be taking a lot less damage from Cheshire. Probably not going to be the most consistent for you, but it could definitely work. Any control, so Magicka, Syndrome, Freeze, any stun, anything like that is going to do pretty good against Cheshire. That's a pretty wide range of heroes. Charm, all that stuff is going to do pretty good against Cheshire, assuming you can get it off. So going back to Fear a little bit, Fear and Slinky, or really any tank, would be a pretty decent counter, but definitely Slinky because of Fear giving Slinky Reflect in the beginning of the fight, and also just the fact that the two of them together just give ridiculous amounts of shield. So you could very easily give yourself enough HP in order to survive all of the attacks that Cheshire throws at you. And also Fear has pretty low max HP. Cheshire is probably going to be targeting Fear pretty often with head toss. So you could also just pair Ian with Fear so that you have a nice reflect combo. Also, Slinky's red skill, anytime he uses his green skill, he's going to be stealing 45% of the reality, so you can eventually just deal more and more damage to Cheshire as the wave goes on. Slinky and Fear together, pretty good counter. This one's going to be kind of interesting. I saw this one on the forums as well, I think, but Bunsen, and I think other heroes that have like partners with them, so this could work with like the Megabot or maybe Sven or something like that as well, but like with Bunsen, he's pretty good at controlling Cheshire because the clones are considered enemies that can be targeted by the head toss from Cheshire. So rather than taking out the rest of your team, Cheshire is going to be targeting the clones and taking them out, keeping the rest of your team kind of safe. So this could give you a opening to take out Cheshire while he's distracted. I think this might work kind of the same way with Megabot from Hyro, or Sven, or maybe Jasmine with the tiger that I can't remember the name of right now. I think that might be the only ones that have like a partner with them. But yeah, could be an interesting little way to counter Cheshire. Another decent option for dealing with Cheshire could be blocking projectiles because the head toss from Cheshire is considered a projectile. So you could do Wasabi with his green skill. He blocks a projectile from hitting himself or allies behind him. Goliath also blocks projectiles with his red skill. I think Bo Peep blocks projectiles with her white skill. And I think there's a few others, but I don't really remember them off the top of my head. But blocking projectiles is pretty good because head toss is considered a projectile. So that's another option. The last little counter I have is going to be the two anti-sappers. With Kermit's purple skill, he's going to be removing any sap his allies have. Also, with the Ducky and Bunny friend disc, he's going to be making sapped allies invincible for 3 seconds at a time. So it's just going to be helping against the Cheshire sap, and especially if they have other sappers on their team alongside Cheshire, it's going to be a pretty solid counter. And the last one, which might be kind of weak, I don't really know how good he would be because I haven't worked on Wally at all, but Wally also blocks up to 5 sap debuffs from applying to himself and allies each wave, so you could be preventing some sap from going off against Cheshire. So that's a decent option, and I think that is about all I have. Like I said, Cheshire is pretty tough to deal with.
That's because you have no way.
He just does so much freaking damage that can easily take out your entire team in just one hit, so you have to be careful with him.
Most everyone's mad here.
That's about it. If you like this video, definitely give me a like or a comment. Let me know who you want to see next in the Hero Overview series. I love doing these, and I'm definitely going to keep them coming. So, peace.
Elmo from these nice ass glasses. Let's get the fuck out of here.